in a sense, the Big Ten has poured cold water on Ohio State's juggernaut, and just said it got a little too hot. And I think they're trying to bring Ohio State back down to the rest of the group. And honestly, what we don't have right now are Ohio State people running the university or the athletic department. They're good people, I would assume, Christina Johnson and Gene Smith, and maybe one day somebody will think outside the box and say, the Big Ten's been great for us since 1915 or whatever year we joined it, but the year's now 2020, and we're ready for the next step, whatever it may be. And I think there's potential out there to form one mega league with like-minded schools that want to put football first. And I don't think it's a bad thing to say that or to think that. And I just think that the values that Ohio State has just aren't in mesh with what the Big Ten values seem to be at this point.
There are about 6 things I want to say here because Steve touched upon a lot of great points, but I'm going to stick with my original one. The Big Ten ended up going out and getting this crisis PR firm to come out and handle their messaging. And they came out with this oddly crafted and incredibly tone deaf, the hashtag, the B1G difference. Well, there is a B1G difference. Just the stupidity of the conference leadership at this point. And this firm that they're using is feeding the national media right now who are out there doing their bidding, putting their message out there and seemingly, pardon my language, just crapping on the opportunity for there to be a football season in any timely manner. And God forbid if you should run afoul of them, because they will get on you like jackals. They, in pack mentality. And to just illustrate this point, a piece came out in the Center Daily Times, paper that covers Penn State, about the heart complications that are associated with COVID or whatnot, and something along the lines, and I didn't read it closely because I'm like, here we go again, 30 to 35% could have this or whatnot. Well, Corona Bro Power Activate, they all jumped in together and started running with it. And a doctor, well-respected doctor from the Mayo Clinic came in. It's like, whoa, I've already disputed this once. We're going to do this again. It ends up leading to a point of where this doctor, who probably was not placed in the right framework in terms of the Center Daily Times article, I'm not putting it all on the doctor, I'm saying there were some issues there, had to really backtrack a lot of things there. Did we hear anything from the pack of jackals? No. I mean, it's like the old joke about when you're sitting there playing a game and you feel that you're getting squeezed by the officials. And you're like, it's hard enough to beat one team, but it's hard enough to beat 2 teams when one of them's wearing the stripes. What really feels like we're having to not only go against just these forces that don't want there to be football for whatever liability issues or whatever the chancellors and the presidents have there, but there seems to still be this group of the media that would rather be right and unemployed rather than show a little contrition and present a fair picture for everybody. And that's about the best I can put there, as I'm already probably not invited to the next secret journalist meeting.
Well, it was maybe not even a week ago, because things fluctuate. And I tweeted something to the effect of, imagine being in a conference where Rutgers holds as much sway as Ohio State. And a writer from USA Today, quote tweeted that, and he's like, imagine saying this, 180,000 people have died in America. And sure, that's true. The numbers are the numbers, and it's terrible. But instead of attacking the people in the Big Ten who are trying to have football happen, or who are covering this angle of that think football can happen, why are we being attacked? Why is the Big Ten, the coaches, players, families being attacked for holding rallies? Instead of why are there no stories about how much danger the Big 12, the SEC, the ACC, there are no stories about how much danger they are putting their players in? Like if national writers are gonna applaud the Big Ten for keeping their players safe, why aren't they writing about the players being put in danger from the other conferences? And until they do that, I don't want to hear what you have to say, because you are very one-sided in all of this. You are trying to, I don't know, you're getting your message from the Big Ten in terms of what you're supposed to be saying. But if you're going to applaud the Big Ten, you also have to attack the other conferences for this crazy mixed up thing where you're practically giving these players coronavirus. You're trying to kill these players by making them play football, because obviously you believe what the Big Ten and Pac-12 are doing. You believe that is correct. So you should be believing that what everybody else is doing is wrong. And as a sports writer, we are, there's no, when you see something that you don't think is right, you don't suddenly think, you know what, I'm not going to write about that. I've got a really scathing column I could write about that, but I'm not going to do that. That's what you live for. You live for stuff to be able to rail on and just people to tear apart. And you've got a bunch of conferences playing football, a bunch of powerful people, Nick Saban, Dabo Swinney. You've got a bunch of people you can take to task. But no, we're just gonna make fun of Big Ten parents for wanting their players, their sons, to be able to play football. I heard a national radio show playing G. Scott Sr.'s comments from Saturday's demonstration and just laughing because he has the audacity to want Ohio State and the Big Ten to play football. Meanwhile, nobody is criticizing the conferences that are still playing for playing. So what is your problem?
No, they're cheering them. Oh, it's great to have football back. Shut up, you hypocrites.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My son just texted me a message wanting to know if there was a meeting today. And I said, well, nobody's talking about it. And he honestly brought up a very good point in our little text conversation I just had with him. He's like, is it possible that the president and the commissioner of the Big Ten want to see how this weekend with football goes, and next weekend, when the ACC in particular looks like almost a full schedule next weekend, and get through that first weekend or so of real major conference football and see, I mean, if they make a decision today to start the season in October, and then a week from now the ACC has to shut down or something, it would look kind of stupid. So, but all decisions are made in a vacuum. So perhaps he's on to something that maybe after this weekend or after next weekend, when everything goes smoothly, maybe that's when they'll jump in and decide, hey, we're going to play starting in a month. So, I think 4 weeks is plenty of time to get this thing on the road. And October the 10th, that means you'd start practice about September the 12th, something like that. That's plenty of time to get something. That's next Saturday. So that's plenty of time to get something going, I think, for a Big Ten only season. So hopefully we'll get it. I hope he's right. So we'll see.
So as you mentioned, Steve, Saturday, September 12th will be the day that both the ACC and the Big 12 will be in play. And if something is decided, if there, and I can understand based on the situation the Big Ten's put itself in, I can't understand it originally, but based on the situation that currently exists, maybe having that approach, let's see it play out for one weekend with the big boys on the field. And then if they make a rapid fire reversal decision, they could probably squeeze into October 10th. That would be pretty tight, but somewhere October 10th, 17th, 24th. Getting back to something Steve mentioned before, I would love to know if this, you guys feel that this is intentional or not. So you talked about the Big Ten's series of decisions pouring water on Ohio State, being red hot, dominating the conference and looking prime for a national championship, just not this year, but continuing to roll on into the future. Do we think that there could be some intent to that? Because we know that the circumstances are definitely pouring water on Ohio State, but the intent of that, when this is the only, and I when we talk about serious football competitors in the Big Ten and who takes it seriously, obviously it's not just Ohio State. Nebraska has failed on the field miserably, but man, they take Nebraska. Yeah, I'm counting them as well, Steve. We're probably at like 5 to 7, something. Well, I would think the Iowas and Minnesotas of the world are pretty serious about football with everything that they've poured into it. Maybe not anywhere close to the success of Ohio State, Penn State, etc. But just in regards to the only in this gold medal mentality sport and nation, the only reason the Big Ten gets attention is because of Ohio State competing nationally. They're it. I can't imagine that the Big Ten would sabotage that. I know that the internal jealousy, I can understand that, but the relevancy is only because of one team.
I would agree with what you're saying. I think it's not their objective was to stop Ohio State, but they are very happy that it's a byproduct. Let's just put it that way, that they were able to kind of slow down this juggernaut a little bit. And, the recruiting is going to continue. They're still getting national top 100 guys, to commit, and it's still going on, rolling right along. You make a good point. Some of these schools don't make an effort to compete at the highest level. They don't spend. They take money out of what football brings in and put it to other stuff, and that's not the way that you're going to win. You need to reinvest in your program with facilities and people and everything else. And so about half of them do and half of them don't, and it's the whole thing's unfortunate. I don't know that they set out to do that to Ohio State, but I can assure you that they're not unhappy that it's happened. And I go back to my old Mountain West argument when they combined the WAC and the Mountain West into the 16-team mega thing, and then one school dominates it, and you have 15 people upset, So in this case, you got 13 people upset. So, they're going to do what they can to slow down the one.
My thoughts on this, I don't think that the presidents and chancellors are really that aware of it. They operate in their own little world where they're concerned about liability and lawsuits and linguistics classes and things like that. So they don't care as much about that. I think all the ADs are focused with how they're going to be able to make their budgets and whatnot and be able to support their Olympic sports and things that are negative, are revenue negative at this point. But I guarantee you that there are going to be some football coaches out there that don't want to be boat raced by Ohio State or the top teams of the conference and lose by 35 or 42, who could certainly feign this, we're not going to be ready in time or whatnot. And, while I'm not on the coaches' calls or anything, I certainly have heard things come out of them. And there are some coaches that are a lot more silent about how things are going on right now than others. I can guarantee you that Ryan Day knows what type of team he has, and he's been pounding the table. And there are some other coaches, especially in the West, that are probably not. I mean, I'm not talking about Nebraska. Nebraska and Iowa, to an extent as well, have both been very forward thinking on this. But other teams that have not really been as vocal here, because if you sit there and you play, even in November, you still may have some opt-outs of saying, well, we're not really playing for anything. To heck with this. I'm moving on. And if you can weaken the top teams and create more parity through ill-begotten ways, then do it. So, I mean, it is very disgusting. And I've got one coach in mind, and I may end up talking about him in a minute. I'm not going to at the moment, who certainly has not said anything at any point through media channels right now that make it sound like he has any intention of wanting to play. I think that if his university says we're going to play, they'll play. But it certainly doesn't feel like everybody's on the same footing here.
I would like to relinquish the rest of my time to Kevin so that he would name names.
I'll give you your time back here. You got to get me right when Mark asks a question. I'm my most pissed off. At that point, I'm liable to just sit there and run with it.
Well, drink a little bit. Yeah. I don't know if the Big Ten is happy to see Ohio State not in the title picture or happy to keep them out. I believe like the Big Ten is always about parity, all for one for all, that sort of thing. So they're as concerned about Rutgers as they are Ohio State, and Rutgers doesn't need to play this year, so why should Ohio State? It's all about whatever's best for the Big Ten. And I think what's best for the Big Ten is a national title. And I don't know that the Big Ten sees that, or maybe Kevin Warren does, maybe he doesn't, maybe he'll learn to see it that way. But it always struck me that Jim Delaney was always about, it's about everybody. But he also had a way of bringing everybody together to be on the same page. And this is just getting things done that he wanted to get done. And I don't know if Kevin Warren is there yet, or if he did get things done that he wanted done. Maybe he did want the season to be canceled or postponed.